Okay, so look closely at the map. It's not a very good map, but it's the best we've got. This is a house, greenhouse, downward slope, high voltage wires, septic field, 2 cedar trees, and there's power lines coming to the house as well. And this is the tree. The tree's also leaning back as well. So my plan was to, and what I'd quoted for, was to take the tree down in 2, maybe 3 sections in the direction of the septic field, but falling short, obviously. Now these cedar branches were growing all kind of into the fir and obscuring the view from it, and as well they were going to get smashed when we did the work. So I got up and cleared the branches off these first, and it was only at that point that I realised how badly decayed the tree was on the on this half here. It seemed I could see some bark coming away from the ground when I looked at it initially, but I did not envisage just how badly decayed the whole thing was. So that changed everything but the price. It was now not going to be safe to winch 2 or 3 sections off as I'd planned, because well, firstly you couldn't kind of rely on the hinge wood, and second, you couldn't really rely on the strength of the tree to be winching big sections off, being tied to the tree yourself with all that decay and rot below. So what I had to do then was to cut the tree into small firewood slices, working my way down until it was short enough to fall. So grapple hook from the cedar to the fir, easy shot, and it snagged good on the top of the rotten stub there. Yeah, I got that hook from Westspur many years ago for conifers. Certainly out this way in on the Pacific Northwest, it's an invaluable tool. So from here on, it's a case of cutting and breaking up each section. Slow and steady work with no shortcuts, unfortunately. Very dusty, face mask at all times. So it felt like I'd been up there for ages, and I shouted down to Dave, who was helping me, "How much lower we gotta go, Dave?" And he said, "Oh, a long way." He said, "You probably only come down about 8 foot so far." So that was depressing. You know, this was the time of day that I'd envisaged us actually going home or going to another job. Anyway, we eventually got it down to a height that would fit in without striking the septic field. But by this time it was time to go home almost. I had a feeling there was more dramas to follow, and I was tired, I had cramps in my arms, dehydrated, and I'm thinking I'm going to come back tomorrow, because I'm not going to take a chance and rush something and make a mistake at this stage. You know, we were a good 45 minutes away from home, so it's a right inconvenience to come back the next day, not to mention loss of money. But at this stage I was just thinking, I don't want to mess this up. So it's the next day now. The big yellow strap is to prevent the tree blowing out at the back under tension, where we've got it winched quite hard and it's all decayed. So I started with a very small face cut, then made it a bit bigger, and then went bigger again, because I did it in stages, because I didn't want to overcommit and cut too deep too soon and realise that I was just into mush. You know, I needed some reliable hinge wood. So when I got to about a quarter of the way through, I didn't want to risk cutting anymore, because I wasn't sure where the decayed wood started, but I knew at a quarter of the way in I had some decent hinge wood, so decided to leave it at that.
Come on, Joe. Come on, mate.
So you saw the tree falling. It probably looked like it went really well. That wasn't the case. It didn't go as smoothly as I've made it look on the video. The one winch that we had set on a 2-to-1 maxed out, and the tree was just standing there. I had 4 big wedges in the back and it wasn't moving. So I had to call a friend of mine, Australian Joe, who has a firewood business in Souk, to come out with his 7-litre diesel, and we had to set another line, and between the winch and Joe's truck, then we were able to pull it over. So yeah, why did it take why was it such a struggle to pull it over? We had loads of, we had a good high point and lots of leverage, lots of power. So it's, alright, it was still a great big tree and it was leaning back, but you'd have thought it would have tipped easier. I didn't leave a massive hinge, I didn't leave a big high back cut. So, well, this beer bottle is actually a good sort of model. If you look at how the weight of the tree was distributed, so you had a lot of weight bottom end, and the tree degraded kind of on the top half. And remember how we cut the very shallow face earlier? So the hinge wood is only about a quarter of the way in, which means you're not really unbalancing the tree at all. You know, there's no kind of, you're not coaxing it to move forward because it's so, the hinge wood is so far out, it's barely made any difference. So, you know, obviously if you, the deeper you cut, the more you unbalance it. If you cut halfway, then the tree is basically pivoting on a very thin strip of wood in the middle. You know, if you cut beyond that, it actually will naturally tip forward because you've undermined the balancing point on it. I did make a video about that a few years ago, by the way. So what we're having to do theoretically is actually pick up all this bottom weight at the back. You know, it's not a case of just tipping it over, we're actually having to lift it up. You know, if you grab a big log that stood on the floor and you grab it and you try to pull it towards you, you know, like a triple round or something like that, and it takes a lot of effort to actually lift it to get it going. You know, if you're trying to get it onto a little cart or something. And that's what happened. So I know, you know, industry standards say a quarter to a third and whatever, but that's okay, that's all good and well, but I could give you countless examples as to why that's bollocks, you know, but I'm not going to go into that here. So yeah, the job on the whole, I've probably just about broke even, probably a bit less even. So it wasn't a good experience at all, but I got through it, and you know, nothing got damaged, there was no carnage, and I was just glad to get out of there with the tree down safely in the end. I didn't even care about the money. So yeah, do you know when you get when you're pricing against somebody, or you find out that somebody's coming way cheaper than you, and it's dead easy to jump to conclusions. I do it myself, and I curse people and I say, you know, why the fuck have they bid it so cheap? They're gonna lose money, they're making nothing, they're ruining it for everybody else. Well, you've got to consider that sometimes it's just a fuck up. You know what I mean? Like I did on this job. I just made a mistake, and that was it. You know, I overlooked some things and it came back to bite me. So anyway, hope you enjoyed watching, and catch you next time. Cheers.